Hello everyone, welcome to the Royal Academy of Art. My name is Njol and I'm from the Inside department, and today I'm going to show you a guided tour through the school to give you an overview of what it looks like from the inside. So just come with me. There's the reception. I want to show you more of the schools. I'm not going to take the quickest route. I'm going to show you also the workshops a bit, so you get an understanding of what we have here. And this is the main entrance for the textile workshop. Here is the metal workshop. This is the wood workshop. This is the entrance to the cafeteria, and as you can see, it's the infinity room. Super cool. And here is the cafeteria. Going there is towards the hack lab, which is where you can learn how to hack electronic devices, which is also super cool. In there is the bookbinding workshop. Since it's Saturday, it means the place is closed, but this is the 3D lab, so you can 3D print, and it's really fun. It's a bit dark. But normally it's a lot of people in there. These are some exhibition spaces. And also here as well. There is also possible to exhibit stuff. You can basically use the entire school if you want, depends on what project you're having and what suits you. And for the grande finale, we have our studio inside. Welcome.
Welcome to the open day. That would sound. My name is Lottie. I'm a first year Inside student, and I'll be covering the first part of the open day, which I'll be interviewing a few of my fellow classmates and just explain the course to you a bit. As you may know, our course is structured into 5 different elements: studio, skills, theory, travel, and flow. And I'll be talking about the first 3 with my classmates. So yeah, as I said, I'm Lottie. I'm from Germany, and before coming to Inside, I went to a technical university and I studied interior architecture. And I came here because I was really looking for a more experimental approach, which I really thought that Inside offers. So, yeah, who are you?
Hi, I'm Njol. I'm from Norway, and my background is spatial and furniture design in Norway.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Njol, maybe first person here, would you want to talk to us about the first studio? How does that work?
Well, the first studio is more about designing for yourself. In this video, we were challenged to make a public workspace and see how we can make it based on our own needs.
Cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, what exactly did you do? What was it about for you?
Well, for me, it was more about, as I said, trying to figure out what is comfortable for me to work with. I discovered that working in heights was actually something I appreciated. So I think maybe Marie can show the slide. Yeah, so this is what I came up with in the end. A portable workspace that you can use to work also in the heights.
Very nice. Did you encounter any challenges throughout the process?
Well, yeah, it's the whole process is very much about experimenting. So I had to go through different phases before I actually figure out that the heights is where I preferably would work. So yeah, it's very experimental, the whole process for getting where we end up.
Yeah. Same for me. So my school background was very different. So this was a very new approach. There's so much freedom, and yeah, I really think the book is a lot about experimenting and finding things within the process, not so much like on the final product.
Yeah, yeah, true. And also the way of, for example, like we were introduced to these skills as well.
Yeah.
And for me, it was very important to learn about, or having the introduction course to the metal workshop. So I had to learn how to weld and really work with metal.
Yeah.
So that's the good part about this studio, is that it's involving skills that you can use and learn.
And that's really nice because our school actually has really many different workshops, like from textile to wood workshop, metal, all kinds of different bookbinding, printing, everything. And within inside we have this entire section called skills, which we get introduced to different programs. So that's really nice that you could use that in your project. Nice. Maybe now some other questions for you, so just in general about studying here. How is finding housing or living situation doing that?
Well, yeah, for me, I found my apartment through Facebook, but I've heard that you have to be very, very careful with finding your apartments online, because there is also a lot of scams. So for me, I had to like talk with people to make sure this apartment exists.
Okay. And then within the city, then what's like studying here? Does it have any people to offer or?
Yeah, well, for me, I have discovered my new hobby with surfing. The beach, it's very close by. So yeah, every time I have time, I would go for an hour or two surfing. So that's a lot of fun.
The beach vacation is great. And then maybe speaking about location, how's the school situated? Anything to know about the school?
Yeah, well, the school is located in the middle of the city center, so it's easily accessible for everything. Restaurants, or if you need to go to the bookstore, or finding materials, it's all very close by, which I really appreciate. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Neil, for spending us with Studio One. Now you may lead, and Yuli will take the stage. Hi, number two. Hi. So, do you really want to introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. My name is Julie. I'm also from Germany, from Cologne, and this is where I study as well. I did integrated design before, so I don't come from a classical interior architecture background. But it's possible to come here. It's possible to come here. Yeah, I had a very free study, and during the 4 years of my bachelor, I developed a very strong interest in space with curation, exhibition design, urban development, and stuff like that. So this is what I was interested in, and this was enough to come here in a way. Yeah.
Cool. So right now we have our deadline for Studio 2 next week. Do you want to tell us a bit about what is Studio 2 in comparison to 1? What is it about?
Well, it's a much bigger scale for sure. The first one was more about finding what you need in a space, and now we're designing for someone else, and not even for a person, but for another species, which has a lot of challenges within, because you can't talk with it, you can't ask it a lot of questions. In my case, you can see the start of the model here, but the species is just underneath right now, because I'm dealing with trees at the moment, and their urban, or like the challenges within the urban environment, because everything is covered in stone and asphalt, and they have a really hard time, even though they're such a sensitive species, and they have this network underground where they communicate with each other, support each other. So yeah, I was diving into biology, all that kind of stuff. Chemics.
Also diving into that, as you mentioned, our part theory. Theory plays quite a big role in this studio. How did it, what does that, can you maybe explain what that means? How did it connect to your project, the theory course?
Well, it was connected with research a lot. So I was reading a lot about people working in the forest, people experimenting with root systems in general, reading about artists, scientists, to connect all that research within my question for the essay, but also the question for my project, which is...
So you do essay?
Yeah.
We end up writing an essay about our topic, which is
linked with the true. Yeah. Yeah, my essay is called Talking Trees, and deals with the question of how we can live together as humans and trees within the city. So this is where all the research was going into, and this is also where the practical approach is going right now.
Would you speak about writing? So I had no writing experience in my previous education whatsoever. Would you say it's possible? Like, how does the writing part? Like, is it possible to come without writing experience?
Well, you know that better because I did a lot of theory and research before, so I know how to write more than I know how to do interior architecture, I think.
I think it's possible.
But I think it's definitely possible because we have a really nice guideline throughout the process with first drafts, second drafts, a lot of reviews. So you really get a hand. Nice.
Cool. And maybe writing language, what is it like living in the Netherlands? Like, and of course, what languages do you need to speak?
Well, English to survive. I think it's nice if you learn Dutch, but you don't really need it to get along or to learn. And yeah, I had a really easy time so far, and I'm not a native English speaker.
Nice. Thank you so much, Yuri. And now I will invite Kate to join. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Katerina. I'm in the second year of Insight, and I'm currently working on my graduation. I come also from a more artistic, conceptual background of design. I studied in Eindhoven, and here I'm proceeding the exploration of interior architecture, which is less strictly technical, but more conceptual and experimental.
So graduation year, can you give us a brief overview of the structure? How does last year look like?
So we started, it's basically divided in two. We first work on the thesis, and from thesis we go into the design process and project. Our final deadline for the thesis is at the end of February. And you are followed for the thesis by 2 tutors, while for the design project itself by 1 tutor. And the tutor follows you throughout the whole year, while the thesis tutors you as well.
And the tutors, do you get to choose them, or how does that work?
Yes, you have. We did this kind of like speed dating with tutors at the beginning of the year. Well, we presented our project and we got feedback, and on this feeling of how the connection was with the tutor, we could choose. Yeah, we could choose.
And what's like with for myself too? I'm curious. What's like with the topic you choose for your graduation? Is there kind of limitations, or within the architectural spectrum, like what can you?
No,
how does that work?
It's completely free, which is the nice thing is that it comes from fascination that you have or interest that you have, that you're like, okay, this is what I want to work on. So it's very free. You can be, for example, I'm not really an architectural person. I'm really into the social skill of design. So my projects are always very social. But I'm guided by a tutor which is an architect. So it's very interesting how the two combines and how it can help me where I'm lacking.
Super, that's cool. And then, well, first of all, good luck. And second, maybe to close off, working. Is it possible to work on your studies, and with the schedule, how does that work?
I think it depends for everyone. For me, I always worked in the studies, and I did also until beginning of January. I did it, so I worked. Now I'm taking a break and probably I will work again. I think it's possible. It's very much possible, but of course, studies is the focus.
Nice. Well, I hope you got some good insight into our different studio courses. Now to find out what you can do after studies, I will invite Elisa to take over.
Hi, I'm Elisa and I'm alumna. I graduated this summer together with 10 other students, and this is a picture of us on our graduation day. And yeah, today I'm here just to tell you about what some of us are up to now. And this is just to give you an idea of the different possibilities that there are after this master, this is also deeply influenced by us, our interviews and our personalities. So this is just an example. And as a general remark, I think this master really helped most of us to define and refine our personal practices, especially during the second year. And indeed, some of us are still like working on our graduation project with exhibitions or by collaborations with institutions. So I will start with me and what I'm doing now. The previous slide. So I am just started to work 3 days a week in a research design studio in Amsterdam as an intern. And I'm also doing some of the lunch lectures for this master, and I'm a bit involved in the education. And I work part-time as a guiding star in a museum. And also in the free time I have, I try to develop my graduation project still. And I will have an exhibition in Venice with my graduation project. And also in October, there is an image also in the slide. Through an opportunity that I actually got with the master, I exhibited my project, my graduation project at the Dutch Design Week in Eindhoven, together also with another alumni of this master. And it was a very good experience to expand my network and to get to know more of the design scene in the Netherlands. The other girl was Julia. She also exhibited at the Dutch Design Week in the next slide, yes. And after this exhibition, then now she went back to Sweden, her country of origin. And she's now working full-time in an interior architecture studio in Stockholm. So she's very happy about that. And then there is Teresa. She's also an alumna that graduated, and the next slide. She also went back to her country of origin in Czech, and she's working full-time also in an architecture studio, but on the side she's still developing her graduation project, which was about the countryside. She's gonna come back also to present it in Architect in February. And it's very interesting because she is currently setting up a small vegetable and flower farm. And she's taking some workshop about how to open a farm, and maybe their graduation project was about that. So she's really doing a graduation project now. And then Shan, she was through the 2 years always fascinated about the relation with food and people and how they can connect. And after this master, she did an internship at Medimatic. And now she is hired there, and she's working as a production manager of the neo-futurist dinner. And so it went very good for her. She investigated in this topic, and now she's working for what she studied for. So it's very nice, very good start. And then there is Ioi, which he just came back from an internship he did in Finland at the Casa Grande Laboratory Studio in Helsinki. And is trying to combine a bit his practice as an architect with his more artistic side, let's say. In fact, he had already 2 exhibitions with his graduation project, one collective exhibition in The Hague and one solo exhibition in Helsinki. And then Florian, instead, he is in the Netherlands still, and he is working part-time in a studio where he was already working also while studying, which is called Powerbot Rotterdam. And he is also now, he opened his own design, spatial design studio, and is applying for some fundings, Stimuleren Fund. It's a big fund in the Netherlands, to be able to indeed develop his practice even more and try to combine this working for an office and develop his own practice. And then last is Martina, which she is went back also to Lithuania, where she comes from. And she's working also full-time in an architecture studio, but she also did a short residency in Vilnius that is going to become the European Capital of Culture in 2022, and this outcome of the residency is going to be presented in a collective exhibition there. So yes, I think as you can see, it's a bit of a mix in between staying in the Netherlands or going back to our country of origin, or for some people going to a new country. And it's either working for an architecture office or for a design office, or trying to combine this personal practice. So these fascinations we started to have also through and thanks to our graduation project with some working office, or some people are just more focusing on their practice. So I think it's a very good balance, and there are different options. I'm gonna be here also in the question panel, so you can ask me something about it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lina. I'm from Germany as well, and I'm hosting the Q&A session now. And as many of you already did, you can type some questions into this chat, and Sharon behind the screen will sort them out, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. But first, before we start with this, I would like to introduce Hans. He's the head of the department and organizing and structuring a lot for this program, and he will explain you a bit about one program point which might be a bit unclear for you right now. It's called flows, and yeah, what is flows about?
What is flows? Well, flows, I like to see it as the more engineering side behind sustainable design. So it helps you to define a situation in movement. So it sounds quite technical, and you see an image of a student of 2 years ago who designed the flows schedule for a situation she did a short internship in. It's a hotel, what comes in, what goes out, what happens in between. And that's basically what flows is about. It helps you analyze a situation in movement, and by doing that, you can also establish what will happen if I change things. And that's what the flows program does.
Yeah, that's really, I can say we are already using this flows program right now for our second studio, so it really helps in terms of research and getting things together. Another part you're like in charge of, or what you're also leading, is the travel part, and I think you're the expert on that, so maybe you can tell what is this program about.
Yeah, what students and alumni and Elisa told before is that this study is very much about defining what is your role as a designer. What do you want to do? So it's less about technical education of all kinds of techniques that you need to master before you can go into the professional world, but it's more about what is your own position. And the travel program that I guide the students on helps you do that. Helps you do that by analyzing what you observe. Maybe you're aware of that, maybe you're not yet. So the program takes you step by step through observing, by going to places together or alone. And it might be far away, or it might be around where you live. So gathering all kinds of impressions and analyzing them and processing them into a system that from observing to designing. So that's what the travel program does. Of course, it's a lot of fun, especially if you can travel more than that we can at the moment. But then it helps you to go beyond inspiration and beyond copying, but really analyze and learn what your perspective is on the world and how things change and how you as a designer can play a part in it.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to invite the group to come here, because I think we have more experts than us two, and there will be a lot of questions from behind the scenes. So please take a seat and hope you're fit. So the first question, which is coming from Sam, is what do you need for applying here? Do you need a portfolio, or what is important? What would you recommend to put also in the portfolio? Maybe you want to say what you did.
Well, I came here straight after my bachelor's. I put my thesis project in it, but also I think 4 or 5 projects which I thought were fitting to this concept of spatial design, because I had a lot of other stuff as well. And then it was a mixture of a bit of process, final outcomes, the ideas behind it, the starting points of the projects. Just a broad mix of everyone.
Really nice, yeah. I think it's also important to show that you have fun with what you do, so be yourself.
Yeah, and don't copy classic interior architecture, big designs or something, but really show what your ideas are about space.
Yes. Another question which I would maybe pass to you, Kate, what would you say? Is it good to have a more conceptual or more technical background if you want to apply here?
I don't know. I think either you will explore both sides. A bit less the technical, a bit more the conceptual. But I came from a very conceptual school, and I still did this master, and I liked it. I still like it. I think it's good for the future to have a technical ground, but you can always learn it later. Yeah, the conceptual, it's a big development that you can do.
Yes, that's very true.
Can I say a thing about that? Because we get students with both backgrounds, and students graduate with both kinds of work. And what happens a lot is that they cross, so that they switch, they change, and that's a possibility we offer.
So when you want to develop your own project, how free are you with that, and yeah, how open is it where you end up in the end? Elisabeth, as you have the whole experience, maybe you can talk about this.
Yes, I think there is always a part of the graduation project very clear brief, but I think what I really enjoyed was the fact of being able to always find my way through it. So find my way of applying the spatial design to the situation I was asked to answer. And that I think was very good because through also very different projects with a different approach, I was still ending up doing something similar. And if I look back at it now, I can see that that was already a bit, I was taking some choices that now define a bit my practice. So looking back, I can also see like why I did something similar all the time. So that's probably what I'm also good at. So I think also this freedom that you are allowed to also really helps you to define your practice.
Thank you very much. Then maybe a question which could be interesting, because there is a tuition fee, but what does this tuition fee include? Do you have to get, like, what kind of money do you need aside of that? People, because you pay the tuition fee,
Yes.
What does that include? Because you also have to make models and you go on travel. Is this included or is this an extra part?
Okay, the travel, you get a discount provided by the school. We take care that we do it as cheap as possible. So in bad hours or early hours when we get the discount. And then we estimate that on average on all the travels per year, you need to add another 350 euro.
Yeah, that's true. Then another question that's coming in is, how many students are accepted in the program? What is like the amount? How big is the group? What is our group right now?
Well, for now we are 10 students. Yeah, and I don't know, second year is maybe.
Yeah, we're also done.
Yeah.
We were
So
also
it's nice to have a small intimate group because it helps with tutoring and the availability for teachers when you need help. So for now I feel like it's been really working and the group is also pretty close, which is also very good.
Yeah, and we are also all together here. The second years and the first years are together in one studio, so we can talk to each other, learn from each other, help each other. That's also a really good part of this program, I think. So this master is about. So at the end of this master, you will have, it's called interior architecture. So do you have an architectural outcome out of this? So are you required to be a professional architect in the end of this program?
Yes.
Nice. And you need an architecture background to apply, or can anybody apply for this? Or what are the rules for that?
No, you don't need a strict architectural background. But if you want to move on to register as an interior architect, then it will be checked if you have an architectural bachelor or not. And if not, then we need to provide an extra examination or proof of you mastering these architectural skills that are needed for register. But our master is accredited as an official architectural education. With that, you can register as an interior architect.
In the Netherlands, yes?
In the Netherlands.
Yes. And so this, maybe Julie, what you experienced so far, was it a more architecture-based studio or course, or is it also more holistic, including other fields, including other skills?
Well, I think since you have a lot of freedom how you want to develop a project, you can decide if you want to go more in a strict architectural direction or not, but overall I would say it's a more holistic approach with asking a lot of questions, taking social things into consideration, environmental questions, and it's always having the whole picture and not just the building structure.
Yeah. If I can add a bit to that, our education is also about what architecture is becoming to be. So it's not only what architecture was or what architecture is, but we like to guide students to find out what the future of the profession will be. So we think a holistic approach is crucial.
Yeah, that's Elisa, so you're really close to that part, like the future after graduation. What do you think is the field that you can enter with this master? Because you cannot only go into an architecture office or interior architecture office. What else are the options that you know?
Yeah, I think at least from what I see also from my classmates, it's a bit of a combination of maybe working for an office regarding to also according to your personal interests. So if you also have a background in architecture, maybe you work also in a more architectural studio, or you can work for a design studio. But I do see that most of us, my classmates, in parallel to that, they also want to keep on developing their practice and trying to understand when they are also out in the real world how they can apply skills, so applying to projects, collaborations or exhibitions, so trying to really develop this even further. And yeah, most of us also have this idea of hopefully opening maybe our own studio one day. Obviously, of course, we need to try and experiment with things. But yeah, I think it's a combination, and it offers a lot of freedom.
Another question which is asked is because it's about the application, and we all did this. So, what did you write in your letter of motivation?
Well, for me it was like I felt like I was very convinced about the study components that are in this program. So I actually applied with the project, but which I'm open for changing due to this like experimental projects that we have here. But I applied with the project, and then I used the study components to see if they could fit how I want to proceed with my project and how I want to grow. And so I used a lot of the components to explain why I felt like this program was suiting me. Yeah.
And what did you write?
What did I write? I think since I come from a more broad study, I really liked that this is finally spatial design, but in a very experimental way and not in a classical, I want to do office and hotel buildings, because this is not what I'm going to do, hopefully, later. Yeah, so I like this open but still spatial approach on the world.
Cool. Then one question is if anybody here studied interior architecture or FD, I'm not sure what.
Furniture design.
Furniture design, okay, furniture design in their bachelor. I myself studied interior architecture, You studied.
I studied spatial and furniture design. That was my bachelor. So yeah, I feel like you can come from that background here.
From the KBK. From the
Yeah,
KBK.
yeah.
But none of us studied here before in this.
Oh, yeah.
But in my year, there was a student that did the bachelor in KABK and then followed and continued to the master. So it was possible.
But then in general, you can say that the bachelor and the master are not really connected. So they're different teachers and it's a program which is not connected to each other.
But it is of course possible.
Yeah. Okay. True. So when you worked before, is it smart to include this into your portfolio? Like when you worked in the office before, can you include this work into your portfolio?
Of course. Put in your portfolio whatever you think is relevant for presenting what you did, and also what you experimented in, and include the things that you think you want to develop.
So I can put in anything, also stuff that is I did at home for myself, or stuff that I did in school, or.
If you think it's relevant for how you want to present what you want to do with us, it's a mutual thing. So it's not that we have this strict regulation of who we let in, but also we need to establish for who will it be relevant to work here, and who can we help developing what they want to do within this, in my opinion, highly interesting field of work in spatial design. So that's what we need to establish. So you don't need only to send what you think is will make an impression, but try to be honest in presenting what you want to do and what you're experimenting.
Can we also, like the next question is if we also can participate in lectures or programs from other departments. Yeah, Elisa, what would you say?
During the first year, so before the pandemic, there were many activities that you could just join and go to other departments. This was still possible during the pandemic, but it's shifted a bit online. But yes, indeed, if you are willing to participate and to find what's happening around school, there are many lectures or exhibitions that you can join or take part in. So it's just about you and how much you want to be out there and participate.
And the question is if there's a canteen. There's a canteen. So there's lunch, there's sandwiches, coffee, whatever you need for a small snack or for lunch. And in the canteen you can also sit and you can meet other people, as well as in the workshops, for example. So right now for us first years at least, these are the points where we meet the other departments in the workshops or in the canteen or in exhibitions. Yeah, because of COVID, there are not so many programs which are open for everybody right now. Then there's one question about how we live and where we stay. The one question is if we have student dorms or if the school provides any houses or rooms to stay. What do you think about this?
No, the school doesn't provide it, I think, but there are some student organizations, like housing organizations, that you can find on websites, I think, and then from there you can apply to your apartments. But I found my apartment through Facebook. But yeah, as I said earlier as well, is that you have to be very careful when you go through the social media platforms, because it can be scams also. So for me at least, I talked with the person that had the apartment, and I wanted her to show it through Skype, so that I knew that this apartment existed.
And that's how did you find your place where you stay?
I found on Facebook. I live with 6 people, or 6. And the nice thing is that we're all but one, we're all from KABK, from One is in the photography bachelor, one is in the master in industrial design, one is in art science, one is in the bachelor of graphic. So it's a really nice space also to, because of the school that I did before was only design, but the beauty about the school is that we have so many fields related to art that they all mix in the school, and you can always like, it's nice, like you ask for help into technical drawings, or you ask for help in like layout of your design. So
Yeah.
it's really nice, and I mean, I'm lucky because I have it in my house, but I think you could find it also in the schools.
Sometimes I can also help to ask the current students or the alumni, because they already have a network in the Netherlands and people come and go, so it's easier to get a room when your friends don't.
Yeah, really often it goes like from one person to the next person. That's true. Then is it also possible to live in Leiden or Rotterdam? Do you think that makes sense if you study here?
Well, I think you can, because the school is really close to the central station, so the public transport network is really good. But I think all of us live in The Hague and come here by bike and enjoy this close network to also see each other around school or go to the beach. Because then, of course, you also have a closer relationship outside of school. Yeah, but I think you can. Everything is quite close.
Yeah. The location of the school is really good. It's like in the center of the city, so whenever you need to buy something, if you want to get out, you can just walk out of the door and there are a lot of shops and places to eat, so that's a really good advantage of this place. Then there was a more technical question about the visa, the international visa. How does the school work with that? Are they
Short answer, yes.
Okay.
School having.
School having fun. Nice. Then there's the question about the language. Do you need any special? How good does your English have to be to apply here or to follow the course?
Well, maybe also Lotte can give an answer to that. We move on a bit, because it's,
Am I now on screen?
Yeah, I think so.
It's about the English test. I'm
Lotte is
not,
our
coordinator of
coordinator.
the program. I already typed something in the chat. But when you're from outside of the EU, you do need to give the student administration an IELTS test. So I'm afraid that's obligatory. But if you're from within the EU, then you don't have to give them this test. And we actually test your English in a Skype interview if we select you from the applications. So yeah. Do you want to add something to that, Hans?
It's also, I believe it includes also the EEA, so Scandinavia,
I think so.
Norway, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this information. I think we're coming to the end of this show. So whenever you have more questions, maybe Lotte can tell you very quickly where you can find us, how you can reach us, or you can find more information.
Yeah, I already posted a video in the chat where you can see an overview of our program. Hans is in there and lots of images and videos. So that gives you a complete overview of the program. And the magazine is also very good to look at, the digital magazine of last year. And if you would like some more information, you can always email me, or that's l.vandenberg@kbk.nl, but it's on the website, or Hans, h.vandenberg@kbk.nl, or you can reach out through Instagram, and I think you can also reach out to the individual students and find them on Instagram. So there are lots of ways to get in contact.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice day. See you next
Bye.